Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the founder and CEO of Loka, no other than Mr. Joseph Edgar. Welcome, Mr. Joe, on Book 101 review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, thanks for having me, Daniel. Some things I think it's just important to know. Really, what Loca does. Loca helps bring local communities together. It works with local small businesses, helping them find local customers. And for local customers, it's one of the best ways to get cash rewards. I mean, it's just, there's no easier way to get cash rewards. So if you've ever gone to a Starbucks app or you use a McDonald's app or a Chipotle app, well, you need a different app for all these businesses. You run around, you do all these points, and they carry the two and you divide by seven, you end up with absolutely nothing. With Loca, it's nice and easy. It's all local businesses on one app, really easy to find them, and it's cash. So you don't have to worry about any crazy points. It's all cash. You go check out a new business, cash. You return as a loyal customer, cash. You create content, share it with your friends, cash. There's just lots of ways to do cash. There's even a game in there if you follow. Check out local businesses, you'll earn more cash. So check it out for customers, loca.us.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing Luca to the world, Mr. Joe. Thank you. Yes, and hoping for more and more empowering Luca to come. So, how to get startup off the ground? That's our main topic for today. Tell us back to the moment you decided to go from a stable job or a safe idea to I'm actually doing this. What was the final catalyst that made you take the leap?
Yes, unfortunately, if you're one of those crazy fools who think they want to start a business, then you already know the answer. There's an itch that just bothers you and you can't get it. You can't, do anything until you solve it. So you go and do something. Being an entrepreneur and starting a company is so hard. And any small local business, big tech, they all know the same entrepreneur, same issue. And they all have a desire to really please a customer. They have found a customer, they know how to bring a solution, and that solution can provide a revenue source. And so that's really that itch that makes an entrepreneur do it. And some of the things that you approach in doing it, it requires some preparation, but I think we're going to get into that. However, really starting a company itself is just to be able to, get rid of that itch that you just have to get something to market and take something that's just sitting in your head. You're like, oh, it's such a good idea if we only bring it to market. And eventually you just have to. So you do something crazy like quit your job, or, walk away from another opportunity, or you mortgage your house. So entrepreneurs are nuts. They're all crazy. But because of them, we have so many new technologies and we have so many great things that have been advanced in our society.
Yes, definitely. Problem versus solution, Mr. Joe. What is your startup born from a deeply personal problem you experienced, or was it a solution you believe you should execute better than anyone else? How did that origin shape your approach?
Yeah, I mean, for me and my first company, it was really a problem I was trying to solve. And for most people, if you're trying to start a company, I think if you're going to do one where you have a better solution, then you hopefully came from that, arena. You've been in sales, so you've done that for a long time. So you're solving a problem that you're very aware of. But other than that, entrepreneurs really should be solving a problem, they know. I've been, a local small business. My parents grew up running two local small businesses. As a family, we used to go down and we would sell what were called doughboys. The world calls them fry bread, elephant ears. scones in some part of the world, but it's basically a fried bread. You dump cinnamon sugar on it. So we'd go to different fairs and we'd run that as a booth. And, I had a large family. There were about 13 of us kids, and each one of us would be a part of the business. So it was from, logistics of going and buying flour and paper towels and separating all these paper towels and getting the bags all together to, getting the flour, the sugar, letting it sit, waiting the knead. So that's the manufacturing process now is actually making the dough and then letting it rise. That's still part of the manufacturing process. And then, putting it all in and frying it. Now you're down to customer service. Some like a crispy, some like a doughy. And then you have all the way down to delivery. And that is, you're putting cinnamon sugar on it, you're handing it, delivering it to the customer, or you're putting it in bags. And then you're taking money. So you have the accounting and really the point of sale part of the transaction, of which then you take that money and you have to go buy more. So you're in procurement. So the entire process of a local small business happened right there, in one of my daily life activities as we sold this. So I knew very well firsthand what a local small business is and how it engages with customers. And second, the importance of it in the community itself. And so that's really where Loca is trying to solve that, because a lot of big companies move in, and as those big companies move in, they have thousands of locations and they have billion-dollar budgets. So they can just squeeze out a local business. All marketing at one point used to be local. So there was newspaper, you had signs, you had radio, television, all of that used to be local. Now, the only way to get local is you have a guy stand on the corner of the street flipping a sign, um, or you use us, because everything else, the social media made the world, smaller, but it made the world around us farther away. And that's a huge problem in trying to really stay and support our local businesses. Is we're so glued to our phone, we don't really notice them around us anymore. So to get our attention, we needed a new tool to come together to put local businesses and show them, because who wants the same exact Starbucks experience every day? I mean, that's prison life if you get the same thing. Who wants to walk in the same McDonald's every day and eat the same thing? Local businesses offer us a unique experience in every single one of them everywhere. Those, what might seem as, a gimmick is actually, a feature, and that is, the coffee cup that's been glued together, the wobbly table. I mean, these are those unique experiences that, we can take and go with us to, absorb this world and try lots of different foods and, enjoy lots of different experiences. So definitely Loca's built on trying to solve my own problem as a consumer and as a local small business.
Mr. Joe, before you wrote a line of code or a business plan, what is the simplest, cheapest way you stress tested your core idea to see if anyone would actually care?
Mm, great idea. And it's a hard one, because no matter what your business is, you're trying to put your finger on the pulse. So in ours, we were a little more fortunate because it's built inside of technology, the idea. And the original idea was, creating content for local businesses and getting some rewards for that. So we went to Facebook and just made a fake version. We literally said on Facebook and Craigslist, we said, "Hey, we'll give you money if you'll go and do this for local small businesses." And all you have to do is email us, tell us that you did it, and send it to us. So people did that. People immediately went and created content, or they gave us a receipt for going to a small local business. And it didn't cost us a dime. It was other than the fact that we were paying cash rewards for what they were doing. And so to get to see if the customers would do it, that was one test. But we now had to see, okay, well, will businesses, find this tool easy to use? And that was harder to get the businesses on board. They really needed a tool to be able to see the vision overall. Because for them, they're like, well, we're so busy and we're running around and we got so many things we got to do. And my normal marketing is I either pay for a marketing person, which costs me like 5,000 a month, or I do it myself and I'm paying 1,500 a month to Google and to Facebook, Instagram boosts. And so for them, those were their options. That's what they were seeing. So then to come to us to say, well, how would you help me find local businesses? And the closest thing I, can say is like, oh, I'll put in a Craigslist ad and a and a Facebook ad. I mean, yeah, they might let you, but they're so busy that they really, are only going to take serious ideas that are assisting them. So for small business it was harder. We really had to know that niche and know a couple of them who will sit down and let me run ideas through them, listen to their feedback. How do they do it now? How do I change it? So that one was slightly different, but that's what we did. We found those earlier businesses and we said, listen, um, we're going to experiment. So, we'll pay for your rewards until we get this, thing working. And they trusted us on that. So yeah. So before you do anything, you can, put a few test things out there. But then the one thing I think that does matter before you spend money that you can test is if you know any local business, or if you're trying to find a customer, talk to them and see, if they would commit to at least trying it once you build it, because that at least gives you a market commitment to, having some earlier customers as you go. So that'd be equivalent to like having a contract in advance, or something like that. So you at least have a customer who's, gonna be trying to use it.
Who were your very first customers or users, and how did you find them and convince them to take a chance on something that did not exist yet?
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, we found our first customers that were, actual customers on Craigslist and Facebook as we run around pitching to them. And then we offered a reward. So you get a referral if you share. So if you're on Loca and you share it with your local friends, you get $10 easy. And that has really been our total growth for customers. It's been fantastic. But to go after businesses has been slightly different. We really had to go knocking on doors. So, I mean, we physically went around and talked to business after business after business after business. And to give you a sense of, how many businesses there are, just in the Austin area, if you look at, just the Metro Austin area, there's 250 multinational corporations in that area. That, they have lots of locations. They're the ones with the $1 billion budgets. In that same geography, there are 38,000 local small businesses. So it is a daunting task to go and, talk to all these local businesses and, find out, what they're doing. So local small businesses are out there, but it really took knocking on doors, and you got to time it right, because if they're in business, they're trying to serve their customer and they don't have time to talk to you. So emails, phone calls, we left notes, we left letters, and you just get your first few, and then once you get a first few, you take that and you say, hey, John down here, Larry, he signed up, and then you talk to John, and once you get him signed up, and you say, hey, do you have anyone else that you know? A lot of the customers you'll find hang out in the same group. So John's response, like, "Oh yeah, I do have a couple of friends that have a local small business. Here's Bill and here's Bob," and so you start growing them that way. So yeah, that's really how you gotta dig deep to find those first customers.
Yes, deep and grind. We hear about the MVP or minimum viable product. What's your MVT or minimum viable team, and what specific skills did you prioritize finding in those first few co founders or
Yeah,
hires?
I mean it's different for everyone. I would say for Loca and myself, it's not my first company I've ever started. So I, knew exactly what I was building and I knew what team members I needed. But if I were to be doing it for the first time again, I might go back and look at, what I needed that first time as well. So a lot of the time, some people you got a business mind, marketing mind person who doesn't know tech, so they need a tech founder, or you got a tech founder who, doesn't have the business or marketing mind. So it really depends on what you're missing to obviously, grow the team. For me, I've done this before. So my first is, of course, you should be thinking about sales first. Not all companies need a sales team, but I had to go and find a lot of these businesses. So we started with sales and we started with product. product means a product manager who really starts listening, and we meet every day. We go through all these ideas. We lay out all these flows of what is this product going to be, because having a customer is fantastic, but they are never going to pay you if the product doesn't work, and you have to match those things. And so building a product is just as hard as finding a customer, because you're building something that, whatever your first version is, it, in the end, it will not be anything even remotely like that. And so to build that every day, to be passionate about a product that you're going to build, that you're only going to have to tear down and do it a different way because you figured it out. And it's just day after day after day, it's getting changed. So for our consumer portal, our app, if you download Loken, check it out. If you saw our first version, which went live as a test, it was on HTML, so it wasn't a native app, but it went live in June of 2000. Oh, no, March of 2023. We did it as a first test case. All you could do is create an ad, and you could get a small cash reward for it. And if you were to have that version, it was awful, but at the time we were so excited. We thought it was so beautiful. It was so easy. But if you were to look at it now, you'd just be like, this is terrible. I don't even understand what it does. But we were so excited. So we launched it, and it fell on its face. We got 2 people to actually use it after, really promoting it all through Southwest. Lots of people downloaded it and checked it out, but only 2 people understood how to use it. So then we finally said, okay, well, that was our wrap, and how are we going to do this now? Now let's build a native app and see if we can't clean the experience up and get it better. So then towards the end of 2024, we launch our first native app on iOS and Android, and we were so excited. We thought that product was amazing. Fell on its face. We did have more people actually try to use it, but nobody understood how it worked. It was terrible. And then we went out. We put some ads in Craigslist, and we said, "Hey, we're just looking for people to give us feedback on an app we're trying to build." So we paid like $50 for 30 minutes. So we put these ads out and had all kinds of people sign up. It was amazing, the outpour and outreach of people willing to earn $50 for a 30-minute call, which later we realized is pretty easy to round up. And what we'd do was we'd get them on the call and we say, okay, we want you to share your screen, download our app, and play in it and commentate so we can listen. And we're not going to say anything. And they're like, okay, for $50, we'll do it. And it was mind blowing, the things that we learned. We ended up with, I don't know, it was like 320 different things that we realized that we had done absolutely wrong, and thought it was the most amazing product ever. So we did that. We ultimately had to cancel a whole bunch of the calls, because after like 10 or 20 of them, we clearly saw our problems. And it's amazing how blind you are when you're building something that you're passionate about. You become biased to it, that you think it's amazing and you're not listening to that customer. So then we relaunched that, and we took 320 problems, and 6 months later relaunched again, and did the same call and fell again. And that version, we only came down with about 50 problems. So it was an improvement, but it was but it was still not there. And by problems, we would watch people, and we watch them to see if they would stumble. Like, could they naturally navigate to all the different features and functions? Could they figure out what this app does? And that was really the test. We'd have to watch and see where they're stuck. Like, oh, nobody even ever tried this because they didn't know how to get there. Like, they didn't know that was a button. So really basic things in an app. And so when we finally launched in early 2025, I guess mid 2025, that's this year. So it took us a while to get through crazy versions. And when we finally launched earlier this year, we sent an app out that we did the same thing and had nothing on the list anymore. It was amazing. And really what we got back was personal preferences. And that's what you want. You want something where people are willing to share preferences because they now understand the app. They can navigate
Mhm.
it, they can do things. They just have, oh, if this was over here or that was over there. That's what you're wanting because then you can fine tune it. But you have to get to that point where they now understand what it's doing. They don't need instructions. They blindly can kind of navigate that. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of time. And you just got to stay with it.
Yes, definitely. And Mr. Tell us, what are your short-term and long-term goals as an entrepreneur?
Oh, man. As an entrepreneur, I don't know. I think all entrepreneurs know that you're trying to bring something to market. You're passionate about that market. Like I said, this isn't my first business, so you know, I think a lot of entrepreneurs think they're in it for the money in the beginning,
Yes.
but then they get this exit and selling their first company and having all this money for it. You just have a problem. It's you just sold your baby and for
Hmm.
what? so so you learn really quick that you're not in this for money at all, and you're heartbroken that your baby got torn from you, and now you watch somebody else do something with it that you think is terrible, and it hurts. And so you slowly learn the more you do this, like that's not what it's about. You do enjoy building stuff with great people. You enjoy bringing things to market. The game itself of building something that's competitive, that grows to become something, is very exciting. So for me, I'm I used to travel around all over the place and see local small businesses and be able to eat breakfast in a place with a broken coffee cup and that wobbling table I mentioned. And now breakfast joints are basically extinct in this country. It's really sad. You can still find quite a few. Lunch and dinner is still somewhat popular out there. There's lots of vineyards that even opened up that space. And so it's trying to protect them, bring them a tool that will keep that entire industry around, because slowly more big companies are coming for all those markets. They would These large chains would love to put these local small businesses out of business in a heartbeat and have you inside this homogenous experience every day. And so that's really the goal. That's what I hope as an entrepreneur, that I can bring something to the market that matters, and it helps something that I care about as far as an ecosystem, while also solving a customer's problem at the same time.
Yes, and good luck to you goals, Mister. And looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an entrepreneur like you?
Oh, don't do it. Whatever you do, run away, think twice. It is the most you know, I I joked about this all the time in growing a company, and every time it's true. But being an entrepreneur is the most thankless job in our industry. If you are successful, so if you take a company and it comes to fruition, you grow it just as you thought, you deliver to all of your investors, you help support your team and grow them. Well, everybody will take credit for it if you're successful. So all of them will think it is because of them. If you fail, everyone will blame you.
Hate you.
And this is the game. This is what you're signing up
Yes.
for as an entrepreneur. I don't know why I sign up for this time and time again. But that is the game. And you're head deep into that world. And so all the hard work you put after it, you're just like, man, you don't sleep, you don't eat well, you're cranking this out, and the whole time ultimately you're going to be bringing something around. So yes, as an entrepreneur, if you're really going to get into this, I'd say the number one thing you need to do is prepare. Make
Mm,
sure for that, because if this is a journey, it's very hard. It's going to be one of the hard. If it's your first one, I guarantee it'll be the hardest thing you have done to that point until you start your next one. It'll be the hardest thing you have ever done. And what you don't want is a bunch of personal stuff getting in the way. It's hard enough to grow a company. So when I say prepare, there's a couple of things you need to do to prepare. But one of them, the most important, is financial. So get used to, living on beans and rice. A lot of people will prepare for 18 months. I say look at it as a 3-year plan. Can you go without a salary or a minimum salary? For 3 years. That means figure out everything. Like if you're strapped with debt right now and things are hard you have car payments, and all of a sudden you're like, I got to start a business. Like, no, you're just a moron and it's going to go out of business really fast. You did not prepare right. You may have a great idea, but it's not going anywhere. So prepare. And, the first one is getting your house in order. If you're in an expensive place, get to a cheaper place. If you have car payments, get them all paid off and, ride a bike. So get payments and your monthly cost down as low as you possibly can. Buy lots of bags of rice and beans, and you're going to live on beans and rice for a long time. And that's got to be something you are, committed to do. Because as you grow this company, you're going to need to reach deep. Sadly, when it comes to laying off your team who is building the product, or you getting a paycheck, the founder always gives in, and that's why for 3 years you are not going to be taking a paycheck. So, in fact, in my companies, I've never taken a paycheck until there's been a larger investor come in to buy it, or private equity firm get involved, something like that. And at that point, I'm like, well, we're not building for everybody, so you better pay me to stick around. So that's the first time I take a pay. Other than that, you don't take a paycheck because of that very thing. You're wanting to grow this and get it there, and it takes a lot. You gotta dig deep to do there. So that's one. Get yourself financially prepared that you can last that long. And the other one is emotionally. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, it takes a lot. If you're in the middle of a divorce and you want to jump in that's a bad idea. It's just
Mm-hmm.
too much there. If you're lots of things going on with your kids or something like that, it's hard. It's you're not prepared to run a startup. So whatever you can, get a group behind you that's supportive. You need them, and if you don't have that, then figure it all out in advance and get to where you are. So you're emotionally ready. So once you're financially ready, you're emotionally ready. Then you step into the water, and you don't jump in. You step into the water, and you do that by keeping your job. Don't quit your job. So take your job. That your startup becomes your Saturday, Sunday project. You get 7 days a week, and 2 of them you usually get off, plus you get holidays. So that's where you're going to start your business. If it's a software, then you're going to stay at your job for 2 or 3 years, because your entire idea will take, months to build, and you're not going to do anything but sit there.
Yes.
So a lot of the time, just relax, sit back, keep your job, have it subsidize your new business, get it ready, and you'll know when you need to leave your business. When you have so many things going on, and it is now earning enough revenue to support you, or there's so much going on, yet you've prepared to kind of step away, and it's going to have revenue in the next 18 to 3 years. That's when you step away. And so you need to, if you're really going to get in this, and you're serious and you want it to grow, then you need to give it the best chance it can. So prepare financially, prepare emotionally, and then slowly get into it. Don't drown.
Don't drown. I like your advice, Mr. Joe. Thank you for that empowering advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yes, I think my favorite book is Man's Search for Happiness by Viktor Frankl. And it's a book set in World War II, his supposed true story. And there's a couple of things that come out of there that really break down what life is about. He lost everything. And when I say that's probably not the right word, everything was taken from him. He was treated like a dog. And some of the things that come down in its core essence is one, his survival and what he talks about in regards to survival. And he says sometimes I can't remember how he put it, but it was sometimes those who are rats basically are the survivors, because the rest of them were killed. And what it takes to survive. That's anything in all books. It's a sad point of view, but it is one that really makes you think about, okay, I mean, how has man existed these millions of years? And it is a constant. you battle to survive, and it's inside of each one of us, and we really need to channel that. The other one that I love about his book is he says when it really comes down to like the things that you would talk about that would bring even the slightest bit of joy, and this is after Nazis treating him like a dog, beating him, abusing him. They have no food, they are forced to labor, and what would bring joy is each one of them would talk about their most favorite meal. And to me, I'm like, oh, so I've taken that from a few times. I've said, when things are really bad, I just love food. So I will sit back and be like, what sounds good? And then I'll set on getting that. If I can't eat it right now, I'll just dream about it. I mean, for example, I have different places in the world as I travel, and I have my favorite food. And I just recently, I was in Krakow about a week and a half ago. And unfortunately, my favorite bread, four cheese bread in Krakow, that business has gone under. And I don't know where I'm going to get. It's a Georgian bread, so I may have to, start going to Georgia to get my bread now. But that's just one spot, one place where I think about like, oh, just great food, and it inspires, keeps you going, and kind of checks you out from the world around us. That says what are the most important things in life? It's really family, foods, and enjoying them. So it's a great one just to step out and say, hey, all this stuff we do as adults, we do now. I mean, none of it really matters. It's what keeps us busy between the times that we get to spend with our family. And so really that's the key is enjoy the people around us, take time to eat some food and enjoy them, because the rest of us just keeps us busy. So great book,
Yeah.
Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Happiness.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Joe. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in third season, and my movie and food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101, and music are there in fifth season, as well as my baby podcast, Low 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101, Science 101, and Sex 101, and it's fifth season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Mr. Joe, tell us, when, let's say, beyond funding or revenue, what was the specific moment or milestone where you finally felt you could take the breath and say, okay, we're officially off the ground?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question, because I've been in a business where you're doing 20 million in revenue, you're processing a billion in rent. And I did have one of our team members come up and say, so are we no longer a startup? And I was like, I don't, we're definitely a startup still, and you just think about it, just because every day you have new problems. So I don't think there's a day where you realize like, oh, we've got this or we haven't got this. Now I have been part of some projects where I've said we need to just set this down or pivot. And so that's probably easier to know is, if you keep launching and you keep going after it and you're just never getting customers and you're never getting users, you have a problem. You're either not listening to a customer and you're not delivering, what they're doing, or there is no market. If there is no market, then pivot. Listen to your customer, constantly be listening, and you should always have a market, because you've started with an original problem and you're just trying to build up the number of customers who will who also have that problem. So that's probably more it than anything. The other one, I think you're just so busy all the time, you never notice when that final moment happens. You just realize one day you're 30,000 feet in the air.
Hmm. Yes. Mr. Joseph Edgar, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite the listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yes. If you're listening to this, please check it out. Download Loca.us. Fantastic app. Great way to earn cash rewards. You can do lots of things for local small businesses. You can find local small businesses. And if you're a local small business and you're looking for new customers, this is a great way to run your cash rewards program. It's hands off. Our AI tool does it all for you. So if you're busy doing marketing, you need something that's much more affordable and easier to use, and that is Loca.us. Runs itself, super easy, and it will cut your marketing budget by 75%. And all you're really doing is giving cash rewards to your customers, so it's a win-win, and it helps reduce prices. So yeah. So check us out, Loca.us. That's LOCA.us. We like to say we are crazy for local business.
Yes, people are support Mr. Joseph Edgar because if you support him for sure, more business will thrive. Mr. Joe, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Lucas. See y'all.
More to come, people. See you soon.